Welcome back today to the Olympic Radio Studios, the behind-the-scenes look. I say welcome back. This is the first time I've done it. No, it's not going to be a polished performance, I can tell you that. Anyway, it gives me a chance to show you some of the stuff you don't normally get to see on Olympic Radio and its City Vibe show. This is the main microphone, which goes through this processor here, which does things like de-essing, which takes out sibilants. That's the sort of S's in the music, in the vocal. In equalization, as well as there's a mid-parametric, and I won't go into the technicalities of that, but it does enhance the mid-range. And there's a tube sound as well, which adds harmonic overtones to the output, which makes it sound even better. The output from this goes into the mixing desk here. We are on this fader here, and we have faders for all the various inputs, including the turntables, which we'll show you in a minute, CD players, and we also have mini disc. There you are. That is a mini disc. We use these primarily for jingles now. The format doesn't exist anymore, but it was quite prolific back in the 90s. Now, as I said, it's not going to be a polished performance today, so we're going to have a look at the turntable. So I'm going to move the camera now. And here we are. What could possibly go wrong with this? Just so you can get a bit of an idea what the whole thing looks like in reality. This is what we need to do when we queue up a record. We have In Excess on here, Bitter Tears. This is a track that we played recently on the show. And to queue it up, it's as simple as this. This is old school technology, really, but I'll show you anyway. Turntable A, there we are, that's turntable A. And to queue it up, we simply start it up. These are direct drive turntables. They have no belt or anything, so they're quite easy to queue. Wait for the vocals to come in. Bitter tears. Stop the record, reverse it. Just beyond the start of the vocals. They're instant start, so it means that when I press start, stop there, it will come straight in immediately. Something like this. Welcome to Olympic Radio today. This is the City Vibe show, and we have In Excess and Bitter Tears. Bitter Tears. There you go, that's pretty much how that works. This is on this fader. And we simply have reduced the volume when we talk. The whole thing gets processed in a separate processor later, which I'll show you on a separate part of this video. And also some other enhancements take place as well. It's not just a case of feeding this straight to the computer, putting it out online. It's a bit more complicated than that. So that's it, really. As far as the turntable bit is concerned, we'll have a look at the next stage next. Okay, so for this bit then, this is to show you what happens to the sound after it comes out of the mixing desk. So it goes from the mixing desk, which is just out of shot, into these processors here. I shall point to them. There you are. That is the auto gain controller. It looks quite complicated, but basically all it does is it levels up the sound. So if you get a quiet sound, it raises the volume. If you get a loud sound, it reduces it, keeps it at a relatively constant level. The next item down is an aural exciter, which induces an immense amount of hilarity when I talk about this. It's got a thing called a big bottom on it as well. What it does, it enhances the top end. That's the sort of treble end of the frequency spectrum, and adds artificial harmonics into the sound. I'm going to get very technical now. It does it without increasing the level. This is the key thing with this. And the other thing it does is optical big bottom. Which is bass enhancement. It again boosts the bottom end, the lower end frequencies without increasing the level, which is something very, very important when it comes to broadcasting, because you can't exceed certain levels. You must stay within the bandwidth. The next item down again is a general compressor. We don't apply too much compression to the sound, but it gets a little bit just to even things up yet again, takes out some of the spikes in the sound and evens things up, ready for the processing at the computer end. And below that, here, you have a patch bay, which is just simply a way of connecting lots of equipment together in different configurations. And just to see what it sounds like, you can see my microphone's coming through it at the moment. I've got the jingles faded in. We have the jingles here on this mini disc, so here is the main theme playing.
Olympic Radio with Steve Elliott.
This is the City Vibe Show.
There you go, that is the main theme playing through the processing. And the next stage after this is the computer itself, which is where it gets the the bulk of the processing before you get to hear the show. So we'll move on to that next. Okay, so this is what the processor looks like after it's been mixed and it's gone through the pre-processing. Now, this is quite a complicated arrangement here. This is a multi-band processor which splits the music up into 7 separate bands, different frequencies, and it applies different levels of compression to each, and then it sums the whole lot together at the end, puts it back together, and then you get to hear the end result on the internet when you listen to it. So there is a number of other things going on here as well. As you can probably tell, it's leveling things up yet again and gives you a very loud output from the show. To give you an idea what it sounds like, I've fed this back through the system so you can hear it. That's what's actually coming through the processor now. This was the last show, in fact.
Everyone comes from somewhere. I leave in you.
There is a section on here called Natural Dynamics as well, which effectively puts dynamics back into music that didn't have it in the first place, because there's a lot of modern music around now which is recorded at maximum volume and there's no dynamics in it whatsoever. So it sort of artificially adds dynamics back into the music, even though it's a very dense sound that you end up with at the end. So that's the processing for you. So that really is the Olympic Radio behind the scenes. I don't think there's much else I can show you really apart from that. All I can say though is make sure you tune into the next show, olympicradio.co.uk.